The Feeling of Accomplishment by Zachary Malinkas, 2015. A failure is not always a mistake. It may simply be the best one can do under the circumstances. The real mistake is to stop trying. It started when I was 10 years old, when I got my first skateboard for Christmas. After getting the usual Christmas gifts like pens, headphones, and shirts, there was one last thing underneath my Christmas tree. I couldn't believe I missed that one. It was a long rectangle-like present with a little snowman on it. Pretend this is it, because Powtoons did not have any presents of a rectangle. I picked it up, and to my surprise, there were even more presents underneath it. One was cylinder, one looked like a bag, and the rest looked like deformed squares. I carefully tore off the snowman decorated wrapping paper, not wanting to break my last Christmas present. RIP. It was a Bones Professional skateboard deck. I almost knocked over the tree with my excitement. I could already tell what the other presents were, so I wasn't gentle with ripping off the paper. It was a bundle of regular grip tape, a bag of bearings, a box of trucks, a box of wheels, and an Allen wrench. I gathered all of the things in my little arms and headed outside to my busted up shed. Time to put it together. The outside was quite warm for winter. I laid out all of my parts on the dirty workbench and went to work. I already knew how to put it together because I've seen people do it on YouTube. First I grabbed my grip tape and peeled off the back like a sticker. Then I stuck it on the deck as neat as I could. I grabbed a paper cutting knife and cut out the shape perfectly. I poked little holes in the grip tape where the screw holes were so it would be easier to put together. I snatched up my trucks and screws and placed them gently on opposite sides of the board so they wouldn't fall off. I then took my trusty Allen wrench and tightened them just right. I didn't want to tighten them all the way because then I wouldn't be able to turn, but I didn't tighten them too loosely because I didn't want them to fall off and wreck me. Finally, I took my wheels and bearings and attached them to the truck. My board was complete. I stood back and admired our work. Although it only took me about 15 minutes, I was still proud. Now it was time to ride. Mom! Stop! I'm recording. I grabbed my board and dashed outside to the middle of the street. Good thing it's a dead end. And so nobody really goes up or down the street. Right when I got on my skateboard, I realized that skateboarding was a lot harder than it looks as I fell down. I kept on getting up and trying again, but I kept on falling down. I thought that I might have been doing something wrong. I kept on trying different stances and never gave up. I would trip over my own feet and the board would slide so far ahead of me. Now I'd land on my back. Pretty soon I was getting cuts and bruises all over me, but that never stopped me. Slowly I was getting better and didn't fall off as much. That showed me that I was improving, which was my motivation. Then, just like riding a bike, I could ride my skateboard no problem. I could ride it down hills, up hills, really fast and really slow. I was so happy I was skating for what seemed like hours. Something didn't feel right. It felt like I was missing something. Like it was a puzzle and this feeling is the last piece. And then something popped in my head. Tricks. I need to learn some tricks. That's what every skater did. I popped up my board and ran inside my house and got right on my computer. Good thing YouTube has lots of how-to videos on tricks. The first result was a trick called a pop shove it. It looked really cool and easy to pull off, but boy was I wrong. Right when the video ended, I grabbed my board and headed back outside. It was getting dark already, so I grabbed my flashlight, too. I popped up my flashlight against my mom's car since I didn't have a lantern. I remembered the video perfectly. Mom, are you seriously giving Evan a shower?
How much longer? I'm freezing. I need to take a bath.
But I'm recording!
Can you give me 5 minutes till I fill out the bathtub?
Fine. First you have to ollie, which is getting the board off the ground. Only using your feet. There are 2 steps on how to ollie. The first step is to pop the board off the ground. In order to pop thy board, you have to put your foot on the tail of the board. Tail meaning back. And put a lot of force onto it until it hits the ground and pops up. Either I popped the board and did not slide, or I didn't pop the board and slide. My board would fly up into the air and I would fall down, or I would roll my ankle by sliding it too far. A couple of times I would get popsicled. I was getting really frustrated that I couldn't get it right after trying so many times. My board was getting banged up because of me chucking it really far or hitting it on the ground out of frustration. I never knew that skateboarding was so exhausting, as I was covered in sweat and breathing heavily. Mom! Oh my god, I'm freaking recording.
I told you to take a break for a second.
Okay, but hold on. Then slowly I started to get better and better. I started joining together the popping and the sliding perfectly until I had my ollie nailed down. The feeling of accomplishing that goal was unexplainable. I had finished the first part of the pop shove it. The second part was turning the board in midair. After trying to turn it, I knew that it was not easy. But I was already halfway done with my pop shove it, and I knew I couldn't quit now. Then, just like deja vu, I started getting better and better. First, I was trying to get my turning right, but my landing was off. So I started working on that. When I got my landing down, I went back and put them all together, and the same feeling of accomplishment rushed my body as I had done with my first pop shove it. Now, almost 4 years later, I sit here with my laptop in front of my first skateboard. The deck is no longer smooth nor glossy. Mom! Oh my god! Okay. The deck is no longer more glossy. It is scratched up. The wheels are almost black and I can barely tell what the logo is. The gray bearings are no longer gray but are the color of an orange, and half of them are broken. I can no longer see myself in the trucks on the bottom of my board. I try to imagine a 10-year-old excited face looking back at me, but he is long gone. My hero is no use anymore as he lays on my board completely smoothed out, and my mighty tool is dismantled somewhere in the grass beneath layers of dirt. But even though my skateboard is unrideable, and it's not what it used to be, I still look at it and remember doing my first trick, the pop shove it. I remember not giving up after I have fallen off hundreds and hundreds of times. I remember twisting my ankle and scratching almost every part of my body on the concrete. I remember not giving up after not being able to land the board. I remember my accomplishment.